7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
You'll never have the sacred stone.
Oh, this you crazy mother.
The Savachi syndrome, I'm telling you, I'm like, well, holy shit, that was crazy. What is up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Moto Aftermath Show, presented by TLR Coatings and Leatt Protectives. As you can see, I am here solo in studio because, well, let's face it, we're three adults and we have a hard time getting together, and I have a hard time with technology, so phones and everything else is tricky. But anyway, so we're just going to fly solo on this show. So first off, would just like to thank our sponsors, TLR Coatings and Leatt Protectives. Make sure to check them out. Links in the description below to both of them. We are wrapping up here round 14, which was in Nashville. First time Supercross has ever been in Nashville at Nissan Stadium there where the Titans play. And we actually got lucky. We didn't have any weather move in like we thought we were going to. The track was actually dry and dusty in practice. They then proceeded to dump a bunch of water on it and actually made it turn really good for the night show. More of a West Coast track than an East Coast track, very hard packed. But again, a tricky, we'll call it tricky track. Wasn't necessarily one line, lots of bowl 180 turns, which made things super helpful and made the racing pretty good. Also, there were some big rhythms you could do, some 3-4-3s, some, you know, big quads, some big threes. So there was lots of different change-ups and a couple of whoop sections, one bigger, one shorter one, and it made the night very, very interesting as the whoops did take casualties for the night, but we'll get into that as we continue on. Before we move too far on in the show, though, here, just want to take a few minutes. Again, if you could like, subscribe, comment down below here, really helps us out. If you don't want to watch us on YouTube, you can watch us on Facebook. If you don't have time to watch us, you can always listen to us in podcast form on iTunes or SoundCloud. You can follow us on all the major social media networks, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, at the Moto Aftermath Show. If you want to help support the show, teespring.com for t-shirts, link down below. You can click the links in the description down below for the Amazon. It'll take you to Amazon. You don't have to buy what we link you to in Amazon. You can pretty much buy anything in Amazon. Beyond that, we get a small slice of it. Helps keep the lights on here. If you want to just donate money, we'll send you, I don't know, maybe this hat, maybe this shirt. I'm not really, I'll send you something if you just want to donate via Patreon. Again, links in the description down below. And that pretty much wraps up the opening segment of the show here. Again, I'm flying solo, so it's pretty much just my thoughts. And apparently I don't know anything. So, like I said, I thought the track was good. The racing was good. Now, whether or not it was because there were crashes or whether or not it was because the racing was actually good, yeah, that's up for debate. Comment below what you think. But anyway, let's jump into 250s and we'll see what we come up with. Okay, so let's start off with the 250s. Big news of the night, Austin Forkner does not ride. We've been watching this all year. He pushes it to the limit in practice, and no surprise, it jumps up and bites him every single week. Now, most of these times he's been able to get up, but as I've been preaching all year, at some point this was going to bite him, and he wasn't going to be able to get up from it, and Nashville, round 14, happened to be that time. He took a header off of the bike, kind of over the bars header flip thing in second practice, or I'm sorry, in first practice. Ended up hurting his knee. According to what I heard on the Mitch Payton interview, was supposedly just a stinger. Came up for second practice, ran one lap of second practice, overjumped a jump, came directly into the pits, got off the bike, and went directly to laying down on the ground. Obviously in pain, obviously couldn't do anything. When we started the night, we were told, actually the television guys were told, that he would be skipping the heat to hopefully only have to ride at like 50% for the LCQ to then hopefully make the main to hopefully salvage some points. However, after the heat race, we got to the 250 LCQ and no Austin Forkner on the line. We were then told he was not riding all night. What we later found out is he does have some sort of knee injury. We're not really sure to the extent yet. His MRI is scheduled for Monday. I'm filming this on Sunday, so we will find out very early in the week here whether he's going to be able to come back in 3 weeks when we go back to East Rutherford, or is that all they wrote? Now, like I said, I've been preaching this all year. You cannot go that fast. You cannot wad it up in practice and just think that you're going to be able to do this every time. Find the edge, go over the edge just slightly, and get up and walk away from it. He was trying to do that again, and here we are. Now he could have possibly lost the title. So this sets us up for a very interesting night. Austin Forkner 26 points ahead of Chase Sexton going into the night, and the winner gets 26 points. Chase Sexton, fastest qualifier, wins his heat. Looked like he was just on track to dominate all night, and we were going to have a first-time winner. However, Party Marty decided to show up this week. Martin Davalos comes out, wins his heat, comes out in the main, and with the good fortune, which we will go over here in a minute, gets by Sexton and Cooper and walks away from everyone. Now, it's really no surprise that Marty did this. Marty is a past race winner. He should have won this title several times, but we won't get into that. So at the ripe young age of 32, and according to statistics from wherever on the Supercross show, they said that he was not the oldest 250 winner. John Dowd had beat him by about 6 months, I think it was. So second oldest winner ever in the 250 class. But again, it was Heat Race Marty showed up in the heat race, and Party Marty showed up in the mains, and he was partying. He walked away over 10 seconds by the end of the main. And we can just, I guess, get into it, the Sexton and Cooper thing. Start of the 250 main, Sexton and Cooper both out in front, battling, going back and forth. Corner before the whoops, I believe it was, Cooper comes up the inside of Sexton and takes him all the way to the bales. Now, do I have any problem with him taking him all the way to the top of the corner? Absolutely not. I want to see a good fight. These two are the title favorites outside of Forkner here. If Forkner's hurt, no problem with the battle. What I have a problem with, he not only took him to the bales, he took him and himself down. Cooper, this was a rookie move. Absolute rookie move. No doubt about it. You cannot go in and take your main competitor for this title down at this point like that when you guys have the possibility of going 1-2 in the race, and instead of being 26, and I think Cooper was back another, I don't know how many points, but instead of being 30 points back, you guys could be within 5 points of each other for the lead or for the championship. Instead, Cooper takes out himself and Sexton. They both have to battle back from the back. Sexton gets second, Cooper gets third. You could tell there was definitely some tension on the podium. Haven't watched the press conference yet to know for sure. But the tension was definitely there. That was definitely Chase's race to lose. Obviously, he did lose it. However, not on his own doing. I fully hold Cooper accountable for this one. It's a sad state of affair because Martin did exactly what he needed to do to help his teammate out, which was win. If he could win, he could take points away from Sexton and Cooper, which he did. Now, like I said, Sexton did manage to get back to second place on the night, and so he's only 5 points down. The problem being now, as we go into the final 2 rounds, East Rutherford and Vegas, if everything's okay with Forkner and he can ride, he'll still probably win this title by over 10 points. Well, maybe not over 10 points. He'll win it by maybe say 10 points because Vegas is another shootout. However, if he can't ride, then it doesn't really matter. But I'm very disappointed in Cooper's decision to take both him and Sexton out. I feel like it was a very bad decision. I feel like he should have shown a little more patience. And maybe, I know it's hard for me to say because I don't get paid the big bucks to race. But looking at it from an outsider's perspective of someone who's, we'll call it older than these kids, the patience aspect going, okay, big picture, I can go out of here and be say less than 10 points behind Sexton, or I can take us both out and we're still behind Forkner. I don't know. On the up hand, it takes skill to do what Forkner's done. Forkner misses a complete race and is still 5 points ahead of everyone else. That's pretty good, especially in a short 250 regional series. So that was pretty much the main things that happened in the 250 race. I mean, I'm sure there was other stuff, but again, I'm only one man. I can only watch so much. I could go through who finished where, but there's really no point. So let's move on to 450s, which again, action-packed. Okay, 450s. Let's just jump right off the bat here with Kenny's bad luck continues. Kenny cannot buy a win. I swear Ken Roczen cannot buy a win. We have last week, he starts out, comes out, wins main #1 in the Triple Crown in Houston in dominating fashion. 2017 Kenny fashion. He is going away. Second race, gets in a first turn pileup, breaks a toe or something, does something to a toe, can't ride the second main, third main comes out, doesn't have a good finish, and it's just a horrible weekend at the end. This weekend, same thing, comes out, looks great, top qualifier, wins his heat race, comes into the main, and kind of shits the bed on the start. But again, 2 laps in, he is making moves. He is up well inside the top 5. He is making moves. He's following Savatgy right to the front. And coming out of a rhythm section, Savatgy goes into the corner, pushes the front, goes down literally right in front of Ken Roczen. Nothing Kenny can do. Kenny immediately grabs the brakes, flips over the front, bike down. Kenny's over the berm. That's all she wrote. He did get up and fight his way back to 8th place, but again, what does Kenny have to do to buy a win at this point? I mean, the guy is literally, he's one of the fastest 450 riders out there, if not the fastest 450 rider in Supercross out there at this point, and yet cannot buy a break between the sicknesses this year. The first part of the year, I thought he did great. He was right there, could have won several races, obviously didn't. This one, again, there's no doubt in my mind. Ken Roczen, Savatgy doesn't push that front end, doesn't have a Savatgy syndrome moment because, let's face it, it's Savatgy. He always does. Kenny wins that race last night. Hands down, going away. No questions asked. Tomac doesn't get to him. Tomac doesn't have anything for him. Kenny, by the time Tomac gets to the front, Kenny is 5+ seconds out. But, once again, we didn't get to see that. And at some point, he will win. He will. If you watch the Moto Spy series, which if you don't watch it, you should check it out. It's on the Red Bull Motorsports channel, I want to say. They talk to Kenny's dad, and Kenny's dad basically says, this is back about the week of Daytona, basically says, I didn't expect him to do any of this year. I expected this year to be a completely rebuilding year, and we would see him over the next 2 to 3 years really come back and start to dominate. So it's interesting to see that even the people in Ken's corner didn't expect Ken to do what Ken's been doing. Now, as far as title contenders here, obviously Cooper Webb is basically running away with this. Cooper Webb, again, having another off night. Amazingly, pulls a whole shot in the main, and then proceeds to fall back a couple spots, still ends up in 3rd, extends his points lead to 21 over Eli and Marv, who are tied now. And, I mean, if you don't think Coop is going to win this at this point, he's won titles before. I know it was the 250s, but still he knows how to manage a title. And at this point, if you look at him, he is managing this title. And he's going to manage this title all the way to Vegas if he doesn't wrap it up in New York. Which the only way I see him not wrapping it up in New York with as up and down as Eli is and as wild as Marv's last few weekends have been would be if he crashes. And I don't necessarily see that unless he runs into some of that Kenny luck, which could happen. Absolutely could happen. Now the next 2 on the list here going down 2nd and 3rd in points tied. Marvin Musquin, Eli Tomac. Eli Tomac had an Eli Tomac night. He went out, got a decent start, and started driving forward, and there was no stopping him, and he just won it going away. But when you look at it, Tomac track, hard pack, slick, definitely could ride the bike as hard as he wanted to around that place, and he did, and it showed. And again, doesn't change the mental status that is Eli Tomac. It just makes him, you know, put a 4th win in the books. But again, 4 wins and he's still down 21 points to the guy who's leading the championship. There's just too many. His off weeks are way too off. Even James Stewart said it in his interview. Eli Tomac was the one person he was worried about coming up. Speed-wise, he thought Tomac had him. Mental-wise, nope. And it shows. But I feel like Tomac has a couple more good years left in him. Before he's really going to just be outdated and not be the title contender that he technically is right now. But until he figures out this mental status of his, which is 1 week he wins and the next week he gets 8th, it's hard to really pick him for a title going into any season. Now the other guy who is tied for 2nd in points, Marvin Musquin, just another rough night for Marv. Lap 2. Jumping through the whoops, catches a hard edge, and down he goes. He starts to work his way back up, and I think he crashed one more time. Not majorly, but definitely another tip over. So 2 tip overs, and still comes back for 6th on the night. I mean, you look at the bad luck for Marv started back 3 rounds ago when he jumped through that red cross flag. You lose 7 points there. You get the win, but you lose the 7 points. So you take you put the 7 points back, and now all of a sudden instead of 21 down, he's 14, which is much more doable in 3 rounds. Then you have last week, he had that Coop just basically pushed him all around last week, and he did manage to get on the podium, but still got pushed around by Coop. And now you have this week, he has 2 crashes in the main and ends up 6th. It's turning out to be one of those years where, as they say on the Pulp Show and Weege in specific, when it's your year, it's your year. And right now, it is Cooper Webb's year. No doubt about it. No questions asked. No strings attached. It is Cooper Webb's year. He is just getting everything to go his way. So, other honorable mentions for the 450s. Zach Osborne, good night. Ended up 5th, so first top 5, so that's good. I feel like the Osborne train here is building momentum, even though Justin thinks it's not. Osborne definitely building momentum. Now we've definitely got some we'll call it fatalities in the 450 class where we're missing some people, you know, Reed and Brayton, etc. So it is probably buffering the results slightly for Zach. However, going into the season, everyone thought Zach was going to do something like this. Like they thought he had top 5 speed. And so with missing the first like half of the season, basically this is, I think, just kind of catching him up. So he's getting results, he's getting, you know, confidence built up, and I think it's going to bode well going into outdoors because he's a better outdoor rider for sure. So when we get into outdoors, I feel like this is going to help out a lot, especially if he can maintain getting, say, top 5, top 6s here the last few rounds of the year. It's going to definitely help. Another honorable mention, we'll round off our podium here. Baggett did work all the way up to 2nd, but again, Baggett's another one. What is he doing? He goes 2nd 1 week, next week he'll be 10th. He'll win the next week, and then he'll be 13th. Like, his highs are high and his lows are low, and there's just really no middle ground with it, and there's no telling what day it's going to be. It's just kind of, if Baggett shows up and it's good, it's good. So that's pretty much all I have to talk about this race. Obviously, I do comment back and forth with you guys, so please, please, please comment below, and I'll be more than happy to chat back and forth with you if you have thoughts and comments. Cole gets on there too. He'll definitely comment back. Sorry to everyone that usually likes to see this as a multi-person show. We are trying, but Justin just opened a pizza place and is running that full-time. I am super busy with the coatings company. We are absolutely swamped. And Cole is out of town all week for his job. So that just leaves me to do this by myself here. One more thing we can talk about, or actually 2 more things. Number 1, fantasy. I scored a solid 211 points on Pulp Fantasy. Was not my best week picking. I kind of did it quick in a rush. I looked at it afterwards and went, those picks aren't great. But we did manage, like I said, to score 211, which is pretty low considering my last 2 weeks have been 292 and 301. I don't know where I am in the league. I don't know where I am in the overall standings. It's not great. And then as far as moving on to next week we are in another new open-air stadium in Denver. I have no idea what the weather's going to be like. I can assume that there's a good possibility it'll be bad, but so far we've had a pretty mild spring here in Michigan. And so I'm assuming everyone else is having a fairly mild spring, so hopefully we'll get lucky and we won't have any issues next week. But again, could be another mutter. We'll see. As far as and I don't even want to throw out predictions for next week race, because who knows what the track was going to be like. I didn't think Nashville was going to be hard, pack, and slick. So that was definitely interesting to see that. I have no idea what Denver will be. I would assume more, because Denver, it's in the Rocky Mountains. It would be rocky, hard, you know, a hard packed track. It'll probably be soft and ruddy. I don't know, but we'll see. Maybe Kenny's luck won't run out next week and he can finally get a win. But I don't know. Anyway, this has been another episode of the Moto Aftermath Show, presented by TLR Coatings and Leatt Protectives. Again, make sure to like, comment, subscribe, follow us on Facebook, follow us on Instagram, follow us on Twitter. Cole runs that. He tweets out stuff all the time. Click the links in the description below for Amazon, Teespring, and Patreon. Donate, buy stuff. It'll be great. This has been another episode of the Moto Aftermath Show. We will see everybody next week after Denver.